Hi everybody, I'm going to give you a demonstration today of how to make coffee in a French press. So, I've got all the equipment here. I use an electric kettle over here to heat up the water. You can heat it on the stovetop just as easy, but the electric kettle's pretty convenient. I use an electric thermometer. It's actually a meat thermometer, but it works great for measuring the temperature of the water because you want to make sure the water's at 195 to 205 degrees Fahrenheit. I've got a grinder here. I use the Baratza Virtuoso. It's nice for especially the coarser grinds. Gives you a very even grind. It's a burr, conical burr grinder. I don't know if you can see, but there's settings around the lip here, and it goes from basically 0 to 40, and I like using setting 32 to 34 for French press. You can also grind at some health grocery stores, or a lot of coffee shops will grind for you, and you just want to ask for a coarse grind if you're going to use a French press. Reason is, if you use a blade grinder, it'll just pulverize the beans. It'll create a lot of dust as well as the big chunks. I use electric scale, and then of course the French press and a spoon to stir things up, and the coffee beans, which I buy by the bag like this. So first step is to decide how much coffee you want to make. You can make up to 1 liter in a full-size French press like this. I'm going to make a half of a pot, and so the ratio of water to coffee is 17. So I'm going to use 500 milliliters. You divide that by the magic number, 17, and that'll give you how much coffee to use. So I'm going to use 30 grams. I'm going to round up. I'd rather it be a little strong than a little weak. So I'm going to use 30 grams of coffee. And while we're doing that, I'm going to heat up my water. I do have some water in the French press, by the way. I'm preheating that just to make sure we get the best temperature while it's brewing. So I'm going to top off the temperature on my water, and I'm going to measure out my 30 grams of coffee. So just like this. Oh, right at 30 grams, and then I'm going to get that grinding. And this will just take a couple seconds. Alright, I'm going to zero out my scale. My coffee's ready to go. My water is just heated up, 200 degrees. Is what I've got it at, if you can see that. So this is a real nice grind. That might actually be the coarsest that I would use, but if you can see, it's really nice and even. The chunks are just all the same size. So I'm going to just dump all that in there. Still 30 grams. So zero that out, and as I said, I'm going to brew half a liter. That's 500 milliliters, which is the same as 500 grams. So I can conveniently use my scale for that as well. All we need now is to set the timer. And again, the iPhone comes in handy for that. It's got a handy-dandy 4-minute timer ready to go. And we hit start on that. Just dump my water on in there right up to 500. I just give it a quick stir to make sure I've got all the grounds evenly immersed. And we're brewing. So all that takes about 30 seconds, and you want to let it brew. You want to let it brew for a full 4 minutes. So while we're doing that, the French press I'm using is a new model from a company called Bruhen. That's B as in boy, R-U-H-E-N. This model is the Classic with a K. It's available on Amazon for around $60. I used to use a glass French press like this one. I found, although it was fragile, the main issue I had with it is that it didn't retain the heat very well. So I found while the coffee was brewing, it was cooling down more than I wanted it to. This one is stainless steel, so obviously it's a lot sturdier. It's not going to break like glass. But also it's dual wall insulated. So I've got close to boiling water in there. It's been in there for a couple minutes, and the walls of the French press are not even really warm yet. Alright, so our timer is done, and we'll just go ahead and slowly press this down, and the coffee is brewed. So 500 milliliters is 2 pretty good size cups. I've got a full size mug and a smaller cup. I like to pour it all out after it's done brewing. It's not going to brew very much after you press the plunger down, but I like to get it out of the pot as soon as it's done. Maybe if you're not going to drink both cups at once and share with somebody, pour it into a separate container just to hold the coffee. But that's how much it makes. That's about 500 milliliters. There is a little bit. The grounds absorb. I don't know if you can see that. The grounds absorb some of the water. So if you put 500 milliliters of water in, you're not going to get the full amount back out. But that's all there is to the process. Thanks for watching.